Everyone says buying a home in Quebec is impossible, that you'll spend your whole life renting, saving, and still never catch up. But what if they're wrong? Because while Montreal homes are pushing $700,000, there are towns just a few hours away where you can buy the whole thing, not a condo, not a fixer-upper, for less than a year's rent. Sounds unreal, right? Here's the twist. These places aren't ghost towns. They've got real families, real jobs, real communities. And somehow, the prices are still stuck in the early 2000s. So why doesn't anyone talk about them? Because if more people knew what I'm about to show you, the real estate game in Quebec would flip overnight. So if you've ever thought, I'll never own a home here, don't believe the hype. The truth is the total opposite, but it's been hiding in plain sight. Hit that subscribe button right now and stay ahead of everyone else, because these are the 10 Quebec towns where home prices are so low, you'll think it's a scam. Number 10, Baie-Comeau. Most people have never even heard of Baie-Comeau, yet it's one of the few places in Quebec where you can still buy a 3-bedroom home for under $200,000. Sounds impossible when a parking space in Montreal costs half of that, right? But Baie-Comeau isn't some forgotten fishing village tucked away in the woods. It's a real community on the north shore of the St. Lawrence River. Built on industry, surrounded by wild beauty. The air smells like pine and salt water instead of smog. And traffic means waiting behind a moose, not a minivan. However, there's a reason prices stay grounded. It's 5 hours from Quebec City. Winters can stretch for half the year. And when paper or aluminum production slows, jobs tighten up. Yet, on the other hand, that's exactly what's kept it authentic. No overpriced coffee chains, no artificial boom, just people who actually want to live, not just exist. More and more remote workers are realizing they can clock in from anywhere. So why not from a house that doesn't crush them financially? Baie-Comeau may not scream luxury, but it quietly delivers something most cities can't. Freedom. Baie-Comeau feels like the last page of a story everyone forgot to finish, but the people who stayed are quietly writing a new ending. Number 9, Thetford Mines. Picture a town of wide streets, sturdy brick homes, and prices that look like typos. That's Thetford Mines, where the average house sits around $200,000, less than half of Quebec City's average. It was once booming with asbestos mining, a city built on dust and ambition. But when the mines closed, the economy collapsed overnight. Factories shut down, jobs vanished, and for years, Thetford Mines became the symbol of decline. However, what was once tragedy has turned into opportunity. Empty homes became blank canvases, and the brave few who stayed discovered just how affordable stability could be. Now, small businesses are sprouting where warehouses once stood, and quiet streets echo with the sound of renovation instead of rust. The town isn't rich in hype, but it's rich in potential. Here, people don't buy to flip, they buy to stay. And as remote work keeps spreading, this once-forgotten mining hub might just strike gold again, only this time above ground. It's not a place frozen in time. It's a town waiting for someone bold enough to hit restart. Number 8, Shawinigan. Once an industrial powerhouse, now one of Quebec's most underrated cities. Shawinigan sits right between Montreal and Quebec City, perfectly placed yet somehow ignored. Here, you can still find full-size homes around $260,000, sometimes even less. The Saint Maurice River cuts through the heart of town, lined with cafes, parks, and old brick buildings that whisper history instead of shouting progress. There's art, food, and that rare small-town warmth that makes strangers feel like neighbors after one conversation. But Shawinigan's secret weapon isn't just charm, it's balance. It's big enough to live comfortably, small enough to breathe. There's culture without chaos, community without crowds, and value without compromise. However, the outside world barely notices. While the province races toward condos and construction cranes, Shawinigan quietly keeps its soul and its sanity. In a province chasing skyscrapers, Shawinigan proves you don't need height to stand tall. Number 7, Sept Îles. 7 islands, endless coastline. That's what Sept Îles means, and that's exactly what it offers. This northern gem sits along the Gulf of St. Lawrence, where the sea breeze feels cleaner than any air purifier. Here, you can still buy a detached home for around $275,000. Sometimes, with ocean views, you'd pay millions for elsewhere. But Sept-Îles isn't a postcard town frozen in time. It's alive, powered by one of Quebec's largest ports and a thriving mining and shipping industry. This is a working city, not a tourist trap. It's tough, proud, and authentic, and it hasn't lost itself to overdevelopment. Yet, affordability has its trade-offs. The distance is real, hours from any major hub, and winters that test your willpower, but the payoff is peace. When the snow stops falling and the sun hits the bay, the silence is priceless. You don't just live here, you disconnect. And sometimes that's worth more than any skyline view. It's not just a place on the map. It's a reminder that peace still has a postal code. Number 6. Alma. Alma feels like the kind of town you discover by accident, then secretly hope no one else finds out about. Set deep in the Lac Saint-Jean region, it's surrounded by forests, water, and a lifestyle that's equal parts calm and connected. A typical home costs around $250,000, less than half of what you'd pay for a cramped condo in Montreal. But the secret behind Alma's affordability isn't decline. It's stability. The community's tight-knit, the pace is easy, and everything you actually need is right there. Schools, groceries, trails, and beaches. Summer brings lake life. Winter brings endless snow fun. And spring? That's when locals gather, not scroll. Sure, the nightlife fades early, and the Wi-Fi can hiccup during a storm. Yet, somehow it doesn't matter. Here, time moves slower, but your quality of life moves up. People come here to reset, to own, to finally feel like life's not racing past them. Alma doesn't beg for attention. It earns it the moment you realize you never want to leave. Number 5. Trois-Rivières. If you drew a line between Montreal and Quebec City, Trois-Rivières would sit right in the middle, literally and economically. It's one of the province's oldest cities, filled with stone churches, river views, and homes that still sell for a fraction of what you'd pay in either of the big hubs. Here, the average home price hovers around $300,000, depending on the neighborhood. A sweet spot between affordability and convenience. But Trois-Rivières isn't some quiet pit stop on Highway 40. It's alive, with universities, nightlife, restaurants, and an art scene that punches above its weight. You can finish work, walk the waterfront, grab dinner downtown, and still make your mortgage payment without a panic attack. However, here's what's wild. Despite its location and amenities, this city never became overpriced. Maybe it's because people underestimate it, or maybe it's because locals protect what they have. Either way, Trois-Rivières offers something the market rarely does anymore: balance. You get the buzz of a city, the calm of a small town, and prices that make sense. For young families and remote workers, it's the in-between place that checks every box without breaking the bank. Trois-Rivières is proof that you don't have to run from the city to afford a home. You just have to choose the right one. Number 4. Saguenay. Saguenay looks like a painting that accidentally became a city. Surrounded by cliffs, rivers, and fjords, it's one of the most visually stunning regions in all of Quebec. And somehow, it's still affordable. The average home here costs around $270,000, even for spacious, renovated properties. But here's the part that shocks most people. Saguenay isn't just pretty, it's a full city, with hospitals, universities, shopping centers, and one of the friendliest communities in the province. You get mountain views in the morning and good espresso by noon. It's that rare balance between nature and normal life that most people only find on vacation. However, the reason prices remain this low is simple: location and perception. It's 4 to 5 hours from Montreal, and people think that distance means isolation. But they couldn't be more wrong. Saguenay has quietly become a hub for remote professionals, digital nomads, and families looking for a future that doesn't involve financial burnout. Here, your money actually buys you something real: a house, a yard, and a sense of peace that doesn't come with a price tag. You don't just live in Saguenay, you exhale here. Saguenay isn't escaping reality. It's redefining it, one affordable view at a time. Number 3, Rimouski. Rimouski isn't just a city, it's an ocean breeze disguised as one. Perched along the St. Lawrence River, where it widens into saltwater, this coastal gem feels more like a hidden resort than a place people actually live. Yet somehow, the average home price is only around $280,000, and that often includes river or ocean views that city dwellers only dream about. The streets are calm, the air smells like sea salt and pine, and the sunsets? Unreal. This is a place where people go for a weekend and never really leave. But Rimouski isn't just postcard pretty, it's practical too. There are hospitals, universities, a thriving local food scene, and reliable jobs in research and maritime industries. So why isn't everyone here? Because most buyers are too focused on the south, on Montreal, Quebec City, or Gatineau, places that feel connected. But that's the illusion. Rimouski is connected to something else: space, calm, and financial sanity. You trade noise for nature, rent for ownership, and burnout for balance. For anyone who's ever said, "I just want peace by the water," this is it, minus the $1 million price tag. Rimouski doesn't whisper opportunity. It sings it every time the tide rolls in. Number 2, Rouyn-Noranda. Rouyn-Noranda isn't the kind of place that shows up on real estate wish lists, and that's exactly why it should. Tucked deep in western Quebec, near the Ontario border, this mining city is rough around the edges, but full of hidden value. The average home costs around $240,000, sometimes less if you know where to look. At first glance, it's all smokestacks, pickup trucks, and old brick buildings. The kind of scenery that screams industry, not opportunity. But take a closer look. Rouyn-Noranda has reinvented itself. It's now a hub for students, tech entrepreneurs, and artists who've traded the big city for a place where creativity actually has room to breathe. Cafes have replaced old factories, festivals fill the streets every summer, and while the rest of Quebec battles bidding wars, locals here are buying homes, not listings. Yes, it's far from the province's center, and winters hit hard. But that distance buys something no big city can: freedom. Freedom from debt, from traffic, from the noise that eats up your peace. Rouyn-Noranda doesn't care about appearances. It's not here to impress you. It's here to surprise you. Rouyn-Noranda proves that sometimes the most overlooked towns hold the strongest foundations. Number 1, Matane. Matane is the kind of place that feels like a secret even locals whisper about. Sitting right where the St. Lawrence River meets the sea, this quiet coastal town captures everything people love about Quebec, without the chaos, the crowds, or the price tags. Here, the average home sits around $230,000. And yes, that sometimes includes a view of the ocean. It's not luxury living, it's something better: peace. You wake up to seagulls, not sirens. You can walk to the pier for fresh seafood, hike through forests 10 minutes later, and still make it home before sunset. It's the kind of life that doesn't feel real anymore until you're living it. But Matane's affordability doesn't come from failure. It comes from balance. The local economy hums quietly with fishing, tourism, and small business. There's stability here, the kind that lets you plan 10 years ahead instead of surviving month to month. And unlike some northern towns, Matane doesn't feel isolated. It feels intentional, like a place built for people who know exactly what they want. It's not about escaping the city. It's about remembering why you wanted a home in the first place. Matane isn't the end of the list. It's the reminder that freedom doesn't have to be expensive. So there you have it. 10 towns across Quebec where home prices are so low you'll think it's a scam. From Baie-Comeau's coastal calm to Matane's ocean breeze, these places prove that affordable living isn't a myth. It's just hiding where nobody's looking. Yes, you'll trade convenience for calm. You might drive a little farther, shovel a little more snow, and live a little slower. But what you get in return is priceless. Space, freedom, and the kind of peace that no downtown condo can offer. Quebec's housing crisis might make headlines, but the quiet truth is this: opportunity still exists. You just have to look past the noise, the skyscrapers, and the overpriced listings to find it. Because at the end of the day, owning a home isn't about status, it's about stability. And in these towns, stability is still affordable. If this opened your eyes to the hidden side of Quebec real estate, don't just scroll away. Subscribe right now, because the next video might show you the exact place where your new beginning starts.